Welcome to On the Couch, a regular catch-up where we discuss the issues facing media, marketing and advertising and hopefully provide some solutions. Today on the Couch, I'm joined by Caleb Bush, Managing Director, Australia and New Zealand for the Project Worldwide. Welcome, Caleb.
Thank you very much. Happy to be here.
Thanks for joining us on the Couch to discuss brand experience.
It's a big topic.
Well, it is a big topic, but I think let's start right back at getting a definition of what a brand is, because I think a lot of people struggle with that. What's yours?
I try and break it down to its simplest form, and I try and relate it back to myself. So I think about what is brand Caleb, and that's the way that I talk to people, the way that I interact with them, the type of language that I use, the way that I dress. So when you sort of think about that personally and then you translate that to a company, it is a very similar kind of response. So how does that company talk to you? How do they act? What do they believe in? Maybe what's their vision and mission statement? And that comes back to building a brand for that company.
So it's the personification of the company becomes the brand?
Yes.
Okay. So on that basis, who owns the brand? Is it the company or is it the people that actually have that perception?
It's a challenge, I think, because I think from a corporate governance perspective, the board of that organisation thinks that they own the brand. I think that the employees have a significant role to play in how that brand is communicated. But at the end of the day, I truly believe that the customers own that brand. They determine whether or not they're going to buy that product or service from a company, and that then pushes back onto the company the way that they must speak to their customers. So they help shape the brand. So it is a factor, a combined factor of all three. But at the end of the day, I think the customer owns the brand.
Yeah, it's really in their mind. They create the brand for themselves, don't they?
Exactly, yeah.
So I guess it's an interesting point because we talk about building brands, but in actual fact, we probably should be going back to the old term of brand management. How do you manage your brand to build it?
Yeah, and I think that really does start with listening to the customer. I think for a long period of time, the advertising industry broadly pushed a lot of messaging out through whatever channel that might have been. And I think it's only in the last sort of 5 to 10 years that all of a sudden those brands might have realised that their marketing budget probably wasn't getting the cut through that they were hoping for. But also with the advent of the digital world, we're actually able to measure what those experiences are a little bit more. So it's starting to be a little bit more targeted in terms of how we're talking to the customer. So having a deep understanding of the customers, I think, is probably the most important thing.
So in that world where the customer has so much more say and can provide so much more feedback, do you think brands are still important, or are brands important?
Yes, they are. And to all my clients who will watch this, brands are very important. But also I think that brands have probably lost a little bit of their appeal because of the way that they have acted with the customer in the past. But also right now, I think if you think about Nike, it's probably one of the most globally celebrated brands, and their position supporting Colin Kaepernick, the US NFL player. That divided brand opinion significantly amongst their customer segment, but ultimately I think has galvanised a major portion of society to back them as a brand. So I think there is a role for brands to play, and having trust and belief in brands that they're going to, whether they do the right thing by everyone, is the question. And what the role of a brand is to have an opinion on societal views is also questionable. You could go into the ARU conversation. It's a brand, and Israel Folau, and that's happening right now in the Australian media landscape. How far does a brand want to go in its positioning of having a view on what's happening in society?
Yeah, they're big questions that companies and brands have to answer.
Correct.
So brand experience, because that's the space that you are experts in.
Yep.
How do you define brand experience for people that are never really thought about it or are confused as to what it means. What is a brand experience?
A brand experience is any touch point that you might have with that company or organization. So
Any interaction.
any interaction. So that it could be from the call center calling you to, sell you a product, which is probably coming offshore and it's probably not the best brand experience, through to your one-on-one interaction going into a store, or receiving a piece of direct mail or watching that television advert. All of those are individual experiences. And then I think also once you potentially purchase a product on the other end, does that product live up to your expectation? Is it good quality? Does it last the length of time and you get, I suppose that quid pro quo of I paid the money and now it's fallen apart? That's probably not a good brand experience. So I think it's a continuum of touch points that add up to your view of what that brand is and how you experience that brand. And I think where we're focused on is helping our clients at the moment have better individual brand experiences. Yeah.
Great insight. Thanks for joining us on the couch, Caleb.
Pleasure.
And thank you for joining us on the couch. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel and stay tuned for more On the Couch coming very soon.